Down Tiem in the ring.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Down Tiem in the Ring. This week, we have the face of women's wrestling on the indies, at least in my opinion, one of them, because we've gotten to, interview a lot of young ladies on the indies, names like Izzy Moreno, Brooke Havoc, Eric Adamia, but this girl seems to outshine them all in some way, shape, or form. This is going to be interesting, and I'm super excited because this week we have Brittnie Brooks, especially because she's from our area, sort of the kind of like the desert region of the United States.
Yes. Where specifically are you guys from? El Paso or?
Roswell, New Mexico.
Roswell, yeah.
Oh, okay. So you have to like drive through that. So you're like in between us and El Paso, huh? Yes,
Yep.
I love that. Well, thank you guys so much for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm super excited. This is going to be awesome, especially like your energy and everything that we got to learn doing research on you. It never seems to, like, no matter what happens to you, you always seem to have a smile on your face.
I try. It's definitely really rough, and it's been really rough lately, but I feel like the only thing you can do is stay positive and just try to keep pushing. And then one day it will all work out and it will all happen for a reason. And it'll all be fine when I'm main eventing WrestleMania one day, right?
I will say, like, after having ACL surgery and then 5 days, you're just trying to bend your, just work out your knee. Like, oh my God, you are different. Like, what?
So 2 years ago, I tore my other one, and I remember they told me you should start bending it the day of surgery, and I was like, I didn't. And then like a week passed, and I think I went to PT for the first time after like a week and a half. I don't really remember all the details because I like trauma blocked all this, so I'm trying to like remember when did I not use the brace anymore. I don't remember, but I remember they're like day of, and so I tried to bend my leg on the day of surgery this year, and I was like, this is not happening. It's not happening. Like I need to give it time to like hurt for a little because it hurt so bad to try to bend it. And then I went to PT on day 4, which was pretty quick, but they said get started day 3, 4. So I went and they were like, dang, you're in here early. And I'm like, well, that's what they told me to do.
So how are you recovering, first off?
It's definitely like a long process. It's hard because as like an athlete and someone who's always been super go, like there was a time period when I was doing high school, college, wrestling, working, going to training, and traveling. Like, and now I'm just at home. And my biggest highlight of my day is like going to the gym or going over to the wrestling school to kind of help out. That's like all I do now. And like, it's only been a couple weeks, but oh my God, has it felt like it's been months? I'm like, all right, well, it's been forever. Like I should be able to bend my leg 90 degrees. I should be able to, do squats. I should be able to start building my quad back. No, like I have to keep telling myself like, it's okay to be slow. Like, especially because everybody progresses differently, right? So like I find myself Googling and watching all people's like reels and all the time of like people's recovery. Like what are they doing almost 3 weeks after surgery? And it's just hard because everybody's body's different. Like for example, Jordan Oliver tore his ACL and got surgery the day before I did. But after a week, he could already do like a leg raise, and I still can't do a leg raise. Like I can't activate my quad at all. And it's probably because my legs have always been super weak. Like I think that's why I tore my ACL the first time. And then when I came back, it took me almost 2 years to start building kind of quad muscle. And then now I tore this one, and then I couldn't do anything for 2 months. I couldn't train my legs. And then I finally got surgery, and like, my quads are just so weak. I don't know, but it's taking forever to like wake up. Like I can't flex my quad. So it's just everybody progresses differently, but mentally it's so much harder than physically. Like mentally, I'm constantly in my head all day. Like, oh my gosh, like I need to go to the gym. I need to do this. I need to go and do like 2 hours of PT after my hour of PT, like, because I want that John Cena type 4-month recovery. But also I know I don't want to like push myself too much, but it's so weird.
So have you set like at least a time period that you are for sure you're like, okay, this is enough time, I should be able to come back?
So like for sure, WrestleMania weekend. That's obviously in April, and that feels really far away, but like I'm like, all right, I should definitely be back by then. That would be like, to me, there's no reality in which I'm not back by April. That's what, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, April. That's 8 months. the doctors have told me 9 to 12. That's like the PT. They said like inside you can't really, speed the healing that much. My surgeon, when I tore it, told me 6 months. I remember last time it was like 5 months. This time I do have a very set date of a goal. But it would be like a surprise of when I want to come back. So I can't say like the exact time, but it's definitely a lot sooner than all the other dates that they've given me of like how long. But I also know that if I treat this PT so seriously, and I feel like I've already treated it so much more seriously than last time, because last time I was at like such a dull point. Like I was only wrestling in Arizona and I was young and I like was still going to high school, and I was like falling out of love of wrestling almost to the point where I almost quit. And then I got hurt. And then I saw all of these things and it like made me rediscover my passion for wrestling. So that's why when I think everything happens for a reason, like this time it was so much harder because I was so in love with wrestling and traveling every single weekend. And now that's taken away from me. So it's such a different feeling than not doing much anyway, kind of getting hurt, only missing a few shows. Like I had to cancel probably like 20 shows. I had to cancel big shows. I had to cancel major company extra work. Like it was so much different this time, but also all of those things have pushed me to work so much harder this time. Like last time I can guarantee that I wasn't going to the gym every single day, working on PT for hours and hours and hours, like measuring my bend every single day. I was definitely not doing that. This time I'm like, all right, I'm going to get back as soon as humanly possible. So yeah.
Sounds a lot like the when Charlotte tore hers.
Yeah.
And then all these videos of her just working out intensely while she's still recovering. That's what that sounds like. That's awesome. Because a lot of people, once they get an injury this big and they're out for a while, unless you're Matt Cardona, then you just monetize it.
I know, right? He keeps on saying nobody took my place in the indies. Like nobody's doing it like me. And I was like, it's because I got hurt, Matt Cardona. Okay. I got hurt too, like a couple months after you, but I was making my way to do that. I was making my way to take your brand.
But you're pretty on it with the social media stuff, with like the Instagram Q&As and constantly doing the skits with your partner. I forget his name.
Taylor Kingsley.
Yes. Just doing the skits. So you're pretty on it as far as the social media stuff is concerned.
I'm really trying because last time I kind of fell off the face of the earth. Like I wouldn't post, and if I did, it was like an old photo. And like I was like, I don't want to just have people be like, oh, what happened to Brittnie Brooks? Now that can be good because it's like it makes the return so much more like, oh my gosh, she's back. But I personally want to use my content to inspire people. The amount of people that I've had like reach out to me like, oh my God, I saw you were at the gym like this quick after knee surgery. I like went to the gym 5 days after surgery. That was like my first day back. And they were telling me like, oh my God, like you're inspiring me to go work out. Like you just had a major knee surgery and you're already in the gym. Like I can't miss the gym now. Like I don't have any excuses. So I think like just having that mindset and also just documenting it for myself. Like I watched that video that I posted of me first bending my leg, and I can already bend so much more than that. And it's like, all right, well, there is progress there. And it definitely helps to like watch back and also just like for the future, whenever like I am like back to wrestling, so I know what exercises to do because I never want this to happen again. Like I definitely should have continued strengthening my knees way after I quit not quit PT, but way after I ran out of like PT visits. And when I started wrestling again, I should have been doing this stuff every single day. So I do blame myself for not strengthening my knees up as much as possible. So yeah, I try to be on social media as much as possible because I want people to be like, oh, this girl's really working it. She's really working hard. And also too, just like using every moment I can to grow it because I do want to get to a point where I can make money off of social media because I would love to be an influencer. And TikTok has been really helpful too because I posted a lot of like, it's just such a new audience. I've never had like this much time to be so focused on TikTok. And it's such a new audience. Like I'll go on the live stream and I'll get like 200 followers. And I'm like, dang, like I was just on live stream for like an hour, like, and I got 200 followers from that. That's so worth it. Like, and reaching new people and having new eyes brought to indie wrestling. Like my goal is to build such a following that every city I go to, I can be a draw. So then they're at least making their money back for my flights and my rate and all that stuff. So I want to do as much as I can to make these people money and myself money.
I don't even have to get on my soapbox this time, Chris. She understands the assignment with social media.
I
So
love
like
it.
my thing is, and I get mad, especially with younger wrestlers or people in our generation or even younger, is that they tend to say like either one, they're camera shy, two, they don't understand social media. And I'm like, this is what we grew up with. Now you seem to have picked it up. You understand how it works. You just need to keep growing with it.
Absolutely. I mean, I think I got my first Instagram when I was like 13, and I loved Instagram. Like and then the page that's currently the Brittnie Brooks page, it started by being a wrestling fan page, and I would post pictures in like wrestlers t-shirts, like Mariah May. Actually, it was really funny. Like I knew Mariah May before she was wrestling. I knew, obviously everyone knew of Izzy. I knew like Emily J before she was wrestling. Like we were all just like friends in this like wrestling community. And now to see like there's people, and I'm like, I remember that name of that person like when I was a fan. And so like social media has always been something so fun to me. And that's something I stress to the students as much as possible, because it's literally your chance to show people what you can do. You never know who's watching you. It's as simple as like, my coach was actually, it's funny because he doesn't, he's a little older. So social media wasn't a thing back when he was younger. And he was like yelling at me last night because he was like, every time I open my Facebook, your face is there and you're posting something. And I'm like, yeah, because it keeps my face in your views. So then when I do come back, they're going to be like, oh, that girl, like we need to book her on a show. Like that's like literally why I've always continued posting, because people are always watching, and it could be important people. It could be people that right now may not be important, but tomorrow they could buy WWE. Like you never know. The person who's building the ring could own a multi-million-dollar company later in life, right? Like you never know what people. So that's another thing, like always treating people with kindness, because everybody's here to do what they love. So to be like rude to someone or think you're above anybody, like heck nah, never, ever, ever.
So how did Brittnie Brooks get created? How did all of this, everything, be made into wrestling?
Oh goodness. So when I was a kid, it's funny because today is actually my 11th year Wrestleversary, in terms of like, it was the first time I ever went to a live show in person, and it was a Monday Night Raw at the US Airways Center in Phoenix. And literally the best day of my life. I remember being so excited. It was back when Walmart would have the wrestling shirts, but like kind of like not copyrighted, so they would only have like one side of a shirt. So like I had the Dolph Ziggler shirt that was like, it's not showing off, and then it was like ... but then there was nothing on the back. So because you know how the back of the shirt said if you back it up. Well, the shirt didn't say that. And then I made like a little sign for like AJ Lee on one side, Dolph Ziggler on the other side. And so it's just so special to me that was like 11 years ago. But rewind 2 years before that, one day my brother was just like watching TV, and I was like, what are you watching? He's like, I don't know, I saw Dad watching it. And I just became hooked. Every single Friday we started watching it. Then we started seeing that like Monday Night Raw would happen. And then I would do karate. Like I did karate for like 10 years when I was a kid. So like when I was like 5, I started, and I did until I was about 15 and started wrestling. And I finally got my black belt when I was 15. It literally took me 10 years. But we would go to training, and then on the way home, my dad would have the WWE app. So like I would always just like check his phone, like what results happen. And then one day we found out about like pay-per-views. And then our first like WrestleMania I remember watching on a bootleg company website was like The Rock versus John Cena. So everyone always asked me like, what's your favorite match? It's going to be that match. I don't care how good the match was. Actually, it's the match that made me like love John Cena and start looking up to someone as like a hero. And then I remember like being so crushed when he at that Raw that I went to, he wasn't there because he was getting elbow surgery or something, and I was so sad. But yeah, and then from there I just started loving it. I was obsessed. Like the obsession got unlocked. Royal Rumble 2019 was here, and I was all over that access. I met so many people. I actually met Stephanie and Triple H, which was so funny. I met like I spent so much money. Like I would literally go out in our garage, or not in our garage, in our backyard and pull weeds so I could make money. So I could go to like wrestling shows and I could go buy merch and stuff. And then randomly one day in like 2019, I came across Arizona Wrestling Federation, and I came across them on Instagram, that Instagram that I had as a fan page. And I saw like their newest post was like, oh, we have a kids class, like blah, 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 email or call for inquiries. So my little voice calls on the phone. Hello. Like I'm, how old was I? Maybe like 13 or 14. No, I was like 14. I was like, hi, like I'm 14 years old and I really want to like come wrestle. And it took a lot. I remember like going down to like out to eat with my mom and I was like, Mom, so like I found this wrestling school. I really, really want to go. Like they have a kids class, so it's perfect. I'm going to be with other kids. I'm not going to be like, you know, getting thrown around by grown men. And then she was literally sussed out. And I think it took us quite a few months for me to convince her to take me. And then we ended up going to like a show that they put on. I think it was like Triumph. And then we went and I loved it. And then I started talking to like the owner and everything. And he was like, yeah, just come by. And then we came by and I started doing this kids class for a few months. And then it like changed who was teaching the class. And then one day they were just like, yeah, we're going to get rid of the kids class, but you guys can all come to the adult classes. And like that step was so crazy for me because they were not playing in that adult class. My first like day was like vertical suplexes by every single person in the class, like, and then get up and run. Like it was the craziest like day of my life. And I will never forget that day. And then, and then I just started to get better. And I was like really tiny. Like I have always loved working out. My dad was a professional bodybuilder. So when I was like 13, 14, I started going to the gym and, I like slowly was putting on muscle, but it was like really slow back then. And I just looked so small and I was still growing. And and then I had my first match in 2020, but it was not under the name Brittnie Brooks. It was under a different name with a different persona that was very sexualized looking back. And I was like, hey, I was a little too young for that. So we're just going to scrap that from existence. And then COVID happened. So everything shut down and we couldn't train. We couldn't put on shows. So then in October of 2020, I had a match again. And then so I wrestled October, November, December. And then in 2021, I kind of wrestled the whole year, but only for Arizona Wrestling Federation. Like I didn't know how to reach out to a company. I didn't know how to wrestle anybody anywhere else. I didn't know how to like talk to promoters. And I was young. I just turned 16. But I won the AWF Women's Championship and became the youngest champion on the indies. Like I'm realizing this on the indies in a lot of places. Like that's really young. And then I tore my ACL at training. And then, I only had like about 10 to 12 matches. And then I came back in December of 2020. So I tore it in March of 2022, got surgery in May, and then came back in December of 2022. And then like the light flip just switched. And like, I was like, all right, well, I got to start reaching out to places. I got to start wrestling. So then 2023 was by far the busiest year of my life. And I was still going to high school. I was set to graduate. I wrestled so many matches. And I always have to shout out Brooke Havoc because one day I like came across her page of like the video that I think she still has pinned of her like wrestling with like, you know, when she was first coming back from both of her knee tears and like her wrestling with Jade Cargill. I'm like, oh my God, this girl's so cool. Like, so I followed her, like she followed me back. Like we, you know, occasionally interact. And then one day I was on a show with her in San Jose, like my crazy self and this other girl, we drove 10 hours to go do a show in San Jose. And I was like, oh, Brooke Havoc's on the show. Like I've always wanted to meet her. Like, this is so cool. And we had like the coolest conversation about like, how do I reach out to companies? Like, how do I get my name out there? Because I see Brooke going everywhere. And then like from there, it literally was nonstop. Like my whole 2023, constant bookings. Like it was just so much fun. I also did AEW Dark in that time. I was set to do WWE Extra Work, but I like didn't get cleared by my ACL surgeon because I didn't like do the PT like where they test you because I ran out of sessions. So I had to go back and get the thing tested. And then I did my first like extra work for WWE in 2024. So yeah, and then like the first 6 months of this year, I did 21 different promotions, I think, across the states. Plus I went to Canada. It was so awesome. This is a really long answer and I'm so sorry. I feel like I've been talking forever.
That's insane. Like, how does it feel? So, okay, so you're kind of showing me and Chris's age when you were doing the numbers there, so I'm gonna ignore that. How does it feel that you went from somebody who didn't know how to reach out to companies, now people are prepared for you to come back? How does that?
Oh my gosh. It's really crazy. I feel like I'm definitely gonna still have to do a lot of hustle because like people always ask me like, how are you getting booked in these like other states? Like I was blown away when I did VPW, Victory Pro Wrestling, and it was my first time ever wrestling on the East Coast. It was in New York, and I was like, they're really gonna fly me from Arizona to New York. I'm like, I'm just this girl from Arizona. Like, I don't have any clout behind my name. I've never done anything cool. Like, what? And it just like, but once I feel like once you're on, you're on. Like once you start getting like travel and everything kind of covered, people start like wanting to book you. And then it just like became a snowball effect. And there was like times where I flew like San Francisco to Georgia to Utah, like all over, like, and I would have to figure out how to get the travel, make sure all the travel was, I was making all the shows and everything. And, yeah, it was such a crazy experience because also nobody from my area really does what I've been doing. Like they don't really wrestle outside of Arizona. And that's something that I wanted to change so bad because I feel like everybody has superstar potential, but you can't limit yourself and act like you don't. Because for that like year when I was just wrestling in Arizona, I had like 11 matches in a year. There's times where I've done 11 to 12 matches in a month. Like that's crazy to me. And I was like at their discretion and they weren't really booking me at EWF. And because you don't want the same girl on every single show, like it makes sense. And I was also just not good. Like I wasn't wrestling different people. I didn't have experience. I was still training all the time, but it's like training is so different than actually wrestling in front of people. And whenever you travel, you reach different audiences. So you learn how to like target audiences better. Like, people love me in Arizona because this is my hometown. But if I fly to like Florida and I've never wrestled in Florida before, will I still get cheered? And it teaches you like so many things. And then also everybody wrestles so differently. So it's like learning different people's style and how they, do matches and how they appeal to the crowd. So yeah, like it was such like a light switch flip. And I thank Brooke Havoc for that because she was like, here's how you do this. And she just spent so much time with me. And I was like, you're literally an angel. And she's also been just so awesome during this like ACL recovery because like she also tore both of hers and she knows what it's like. There's not really that many people who know what it's like. Like literally she was like, watch the Tegan Dox documentary. And I was like, bro, I felt that. Like I watched the Tegan Dox documentary and I was like, dang, like this is not happening to a lot of people. Like it's such a crushing thing to happen, especially when you're on such a roll. But I also know that it's happening for a reason. So I don't know that reason yet. I may not know that reason for another year, 2 years, but it's happening for a reason.
Also, you're so early in your career, which doesn't seem like it because of everything you've gotten to do. You can afford to take this time off, grow your social media, continue to be badass, and then it'll be waiting for you there. You're not like 35 and trying to finally get there and everything was working and then it tore. It's okay, cool. She can take 6 months off again and she'll be fine.
Yeah. I mean, like that's the goal. I look like the moment I'm ready to start like wrestling a full schedule again, I want every and all booking I can. I want, because like every place is such like a different experience and a different chance to meet people you've never met before. Like you never know what other promoters are going to be at a show that you're doing. Like it was funny because one time I was at Dreamwave, which is in Illinois, and I always talk about this. New Texas Pro is a place that I've always wanted to wrestle. I think that they bring in amazing talent. All their talent is so like well rounded and everything. And I was at like Dreamwave, and then like a couple of weeks later, I like reached out to New Texas, and they were like, "Oh yeah, like I was actually at New Texas I was actually at Dreamwave, and I saw you a couple weekends ago, but you looked really busy." I was like, from Texas? Like, but you never know who's watching you. And like, anybody can just type in your name online. So like, I always get scared because I'm like, I feel like the bad matches are going to pop up first, but because everyone has those like really bad matches, or like the early matches that I had, like those were so bad. But yeah, like I think it's every match is a chance to get so much better and learn stuff. And also just sending it to people and have different people watch your match. That's so key too.
And see, that's a reason why, at least one of the reasons why we created the show, was for people to be able to look at people like you, like Izzy, like Brooke, and be like, all right, cool, these girls, they could be stuck up, we have no idea how they are, and instead you're just full of energy and happy no matter what. And it's awesome for that, because I hope that somebody does see this and they're like, okay, yeah, we definitely need her.
And in tune to that, when we first started, we were crazy, and we went to Utah on a 13-hour drive to and from Turn and Burn, just to see Gypsy Mac.
I love that.
Just to see Gypsy Mac and Dante King and all these FSW stars and stuff like that.
Yes, Gypsy and Dante are amazing, and I'm so happy they're in Vegas now. So like, Vegas is kind of my home away from home. Like, I'm only 4 hours from there, and I spend a lot of time there. So like, I always see them, and I'm like, oh, like they're improving so rapidly, and I'm like so happy for them. Gypsy's all over the place. It's like another thing, like even like that area too. Like, I don't see that many people like getting around, and she's starting to like be like, you know, I'm gonna get out. That's like the biggest thing I feel like with wrestling is get out and reach as many people as you can, please.
Yep.
She just made a return home last weekend for Phase 1 Pro. We got to see her again. Overall, like it's awesome with your energy and who you are, because I'll admit I was very nervous at trying to get this interview, because you're a very prominent woman on the indies. Like, people are excited for you to come back. I'm very grateful that you got to be here.
Thank you so much. No, it's definitely fun. I try to do like as many podcasts as possible, because right now I can't do much. Like, you know, like I can't even work a job. So it's like, like I'm literally going so stir crazy in here, and like just to get to like talk about myself, I feel like it's such an egotistical thing, but like, you know, I don't know.
When you finally do come back, why did you choose WrestleMania weekend in particular? Is that because it's going to be in Las Vegas and you want that week to just be all yours?
Absolutely. So like, I decided super last minute 2023 to go to LA, because it was just like a 6-hour drive. And at that point too, like my mom wasn't comfortable with me like just going by myself. So she was like, all right, I'm taking you. And then I got like a couple bookings. I did this like lucha show, and then I did Second Wrestling. And that was like the first time I'd ever been like on a card with like a signed wrestler or like anybody like of name value in my life. And I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. So like, I was like really upset that I waited last minute, because there was so many opportunities, so many chances that I could have gotten to wrestle. And then Philly happened, and I was like all over the place. Like, oh my gosh, like the flights are super expensive. The person who was going to bring me out, not going to bring me out anymore. This new person that I found, they're not going to bring me out anymore either. And I was like, let me just bite the bullet. And then I ended up getting an amazing sponsor, Evan Zalos, and he helped me with the travel. And then I got there in like, well, the week before, because I bought my flight like 2 or 3 weeks before. And I was like, oh, I don't want to lock in too many bookings, because what if I do have to cancel? I was for sure doing WrestleCon, because Kayfabe Clothing was like, all right, you can always come chill at our table. And I was like, oh, that's so nice. Like, I could just pop in whenever I have time. So I was like, all right, well, I'm not too concerned if I ever have to cancel on him, because he's going to have a table anyway. But then I got the ability to do extra work for WrestleMania, which was like insane. So I was like, all right, so now I have to go. So like, but a week before I was supposed to do a show or 2 shows, and they both got canceled. And I was like, all right, let me see if I can get on the collective. And they're like, oh, the only like, we can get you on the Joey Janela clusterfuck. And I'm like, all right, like, cause it's like 80 people and they need people anyway. And I was like, okay, cool. What day is it? And then they're like, oh, it's 11:59 on Saturday. And I was like, I'm going to be doing the WrestleMania extra work. So then I didn't get to do it. And then turns out like, I definitely would have made it on time. Like I could have just been like number 57, but definitely could have made that one on time. So I'm really sad I didn't do that. This year, WrestleMania is in Vegas. I do all the companies in Vegas. It's 4 hours from my house. I don't have to worry about flights. I don't have to worry about even really a place to stay. So it is going to be my weekend. Like I'm so ready. I know like obviously FSW is the ones with the rings. So like I'm going to know everybody who's like using the ring. So I'm like, hey, like you need a girl. I'm your girl. Really hoping to win the FSW Women's Championship before that weekend so I can really like take it all over. But I do, to me, like WrestleMania is like the last possible like weekend. If I miss WrestleMania weekend, I will be so mad. So like I want to come back obviously way before that. And there's a show that's very special to me that I want to come back to before, but I don't want to say it because if I do it, I want it to be a surprise. But if I don't do it, then I don't want people to get their hopes up. So
definitely before you come back, we have to have you back on and kind of tease it, kind of hint a little bit because it's gonna be cool when you come back. You have the energy.
I can attest to this because during my research, I saw a wrestler's carpool karaoke video, and she's just jamming out to like Britney Spears and Iggy Azalea and shit, like just all over the place. She's fun to ride with.
So like even with that, like being at WrestleCon, being at a convention, being booked for a convention, how does that feel for you?
Oh my God, it was crazy. I'm pretty sure I'm doing, I don't want to like reveal it, but like I don't really care. Big Event NY. So I did that last year and I'm probably doing it again this year as long as everything works out in New York. And last year the Bella twins were at a table and I was like, you're kidding me right now. There's no way. Like the Bella twins were my biggest heroes. I was absolutely obsessed with those girls when I was a kid. Like my biggest idols, my biggest inspirations. Like I loved them. I watched every possible content that they put out. Like they had a podcast, a YouTube channel. I would literally watch all of it. I loved them. Like as much as you could love a person in your life, I loved the Bella twins. And then the fact that I'm literally at a table and they're at a table. Obviously their line's a lot longer than mine, but like the fact that we're on the same like poster and the same convention, absolutely mind blowing. But I also know like I got to keep working because one day I need to be like at the WWE World or at like those fan access because like that will truly be the full circle moment when I like am at a convention of that nature. But yeah, it's just so special. And the people that I've met there, I did WrestleCon WrestleCon last year was my first convention in LA. And that was so cool too. I just got randomly in at a table and it was so crazy to me because I was like, I'm not going to sell anything. Like, I doubt it. And then I did. And I was like, bro, what? Like, this is so crazy. I didn't think anyone would know who I am. And then, like, it just started snowballing. And now there's people that are like, oh, my God, like, I'm buying tickets to this convention just to see you. Like, I'm like, what? Like, no way. I'm just a girl from Arizona.
You can't say that. You can't say you're just a girl. You can't say that.
Oh, I'm just a girl.
Your status is getting up here. You can't just say you're just a girl. For one, did you get to talk to the Bellas?
I didn't because they had like several people watching their line. And it was funny because I actually went with Emily J and we were like standing to the side kind of waiting for them to like run out of people so we could talk to them like after, obviously like not to distract or take away from the fans that were paying to see them. And then like this lady was like, oh, you guys are gonna have to pay. And I was like, no, like we're working here. And they're like, well, they're gonna leave soon. And they kind of left. And I was like, dang, but one day it'll happen when it's meant to happen. So funny enough, I one time got added to like Nikki Bella's live stream and I told her how I was training to be a wrestler and she was the reason why I wanted to be a wrestler. And I remember her saying to me like, oh, I better see you on that TV one day. And so like I doubt that she'll remember that because I'm sure like, you know, she has a lot of live streams and adds fans to them. But like if one day I could be like, bro, I was like on your live stream one day and you like told me and here I am now, like look at me go.
Full circle moment.
Absolutely.
So I was actually one of in your Instagram Q&As and under the Down Tiem in the Ring page. And I had asked, is New Mexico one of the states that you're looking to knock off your list of states of you wanting to wrestle? And you had answered yes. So could you elaborate more on that?
Yes, I just know you have to have a license too, which I'm not licensed yet, but I know that everyone's been doing that phase 1 wrestling and like my girls and Maya just did it. I saw Gypsy did it. So I would love to go there. I think I've hit them up, but obviously they're like just starting out. So they have like a lot of things that they're trying to work through and people they're trying to book. But yeah, I would love to wrestle there because like every state, I just like I love like the map. I think I've done like 16 states and I'm like, I need to do all 50. Like that's the goal. Like so I would love to go there. Yeah.
Fun fact, we're the media partners and commentators. So hey, we can get you in touch with that
next year because they're done for the year. So definitely next year that you're going to be our number one pick.
Yes, draft pick.
So my final question was, I want to know your love for Disney because it seems like you're there almost all the time.
I love Disney. So like when I was a kid, I always wanted to go to Disneyland. They took me when I was like super young, like 4 or 5, and I don't remember anything. And then no, I was 4. Yeah. They don't remember anything. And then like one day in like 2016, I was like, oh, I really want to go. So we went during like Christmas time and I thought it was so fun, but I didn't really know anything. And then I started to fall into like the lore of Disney. And I started learning about like, I watched everything. I know where Disneyland is. I know like everything in Disneyland. I know where the good food spots are. I know where to shop for merch. I know how to like navigate the park. Like we're going to start with Space Mountain. So I love Disneyland on a whole new level. And obviously the goal is to always move to Florida for the Performance Center one day. But now that I might be moving to Vegas, I'm like, no, you're taking away my dreams of being a annual pass holder of Disney World. Please just put it back in Florida. Like, we're fine. Go back. I don't know if that's happening yet. I know like all that news was like out today. Some people are like, no, that's not happening. Some people are like, yeah, it's happening. I don't know. But I love it. And I love the movies. Like I will be like watching Disney movies on my car rides. Like I've seen them so many times. I love Cars. I love all of the Pixar movies. I love Up. I love Star Wars. That was something I really fell into during COVID and I became obsessed. Like I watch every movie so many times and all of the shows. I definitely like, there's a lot of shows now they haven't seen because like right when they were starting to do shows on Disney, I was watching all of them. And then like I kind of fell out because I just got so busy with wrestling. And then Avengers, huge MCU fan. So yeah, just like every aspect of Disney, I was just so obsessed with. So yeah, and I love Disneyland.
Biggest question: what's your favorite movie in the MCU?
It's a tie because I really like Endgame because it's just so many Easter eggs and so many like generations. But also, I just hate how it ends. Like, I don't want to see Tony Stark die. I don't want to see Captain America get old. Like, I don't want that. But I also do love the first Captain America too. And it's funny because I'm trying to get my Chris to watch all of them in order. But like it's been hard because like obviously I've been hurt. So like I can't really go see him. So like we're like on Captain America still. We finished that. So now we need to watch like Captain Marvel, I guess. I don't love that movie, but
nah, it is what it is. It continues the story. So as we begin to wind down, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at The Brittnie Brooks, Twitter or X at Brittnie Brooks. I'm on Facebook. I have a YouTube channel that I was vlogging. I'm definitely like really behind and I need to post more videos again. I have a pro wrestling tees. If you just type in Brittnie Brooks, there's like 9 designs on there, I think. And if you ever want like an 8x10 or like a sticker, or I have a different shirt design that's this shirt currently in, you just DM me on Instagram or Twitter, and I always check those like requests. So definitely reach out to me, and I will sign you an 8x10 personalized.
Oh, that'd be cool to have back here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was our conversation with the amazing Brittnie Brooks.
The center of attention, Brittnie.
Yes.
The center of attention. Yes, Brittnie Brooks. We can't wait to see you heal up because we know it's going to be soon. We're excited for you. Hopefully we'll get to meet you in Vegas in person next year, maybe sooner. Who knows? We've been invited to a couple of Arizona promotions, so we're super excited for the coming months. And we will see each and every one of you in the next video.